So basically, you know, we have the external layer, which is the protective layer, a layer of exchange, a layer of protection, a layer of defense in reality, and this is the epidermis. Now the epidermis itself is divided in sublayers, and these sublayers, of course, each one has a different function. And this is very important because, of course, part of the immune system of the skin starts in the epidermis. At the bottom of the epidermis, there's a very important layer, which is the most active and the only living layer in reality that the epidermis has, and is the actual basal cell layer. The basal cell layer is where you have all these reproductive cells that are going to migrate towards the surface and, of course, renew your epidermal, tissue. Now, also in the epidermis, you will find, especially at the bottom, in that basal cell layer, you will find your melanocytes. These cells are the cells that have to do with pigmentation. And these are very important cells because a lot of, people, clients, individuals in general, they complain about pigmentation. And pigmentation starts at that level, at the bottom of the epidermis where melanocytes are, because these are the cells that produce the pigment that, because of disorders, end up accumulating throughout the epidermis. Then underneath the epidermis, there's a transitional layer that connects the epidermis with the dermis. And of course, the dermis is the true living layer or tissue of your skin. That's where you have, what we call the papillary dermis, the reticular dermis, and then of course, all that wonderful tissue that is called the connective tissue. And right underneath the dermis, we have the hypodermis or fat layer. What is in the dermis that's so important? Of course, all the proteins of your skin, and not to mention, of course, that the epidermis has cells that contain keratin, which is a protein, but the very important proteins for the skin are located in the dermis. And we're talking about collagen, elastin, reticulin, and of course, a wonderful mesh of hyaluronic acid that keeps everything together and at the same time acts as a reservoir for, hydration for the dermis to keep it plump and healthy, etc. So basically, this is the most important to learn. And for youthfulness, you need to keep both your epidermis and